Based on ImageLink.png, this looks like an incredibly stylish, custom-designed squad of stylized anthropomorphic characters, strongly drawing inspiration from the Pokémon Jolteon, but completely reimagined with unique, modern aesthetics, streetwear elements, and cosmic themes. Here's how I see each character in the lineup, moving from left to right. 1. The Cosmic Spark, far left. The Vibe, easily the most mystical and visually complex design of the bunch. Details. Their body is patterned with a deep black and white starry nebula effect, contrasted beautifully by vibrant neon blue forearms and feet. They have glowing cyan eyes and a subtle white lightning bolt emblem on their chest. Wearing dark shorts, they feel like a celestial, space-dwelling guardian of the group. 2. The Streetwear Classic, second from left. The Vibe. This character feels like the most grounded, approachable, and classic electric-type speedster. Details. Sporting a warm orange/peach fur tone with a striking red lightning streak across their face and green eyes. They are wearing a sharp dark vest over a white collar and black shorts. They have a relaxed, friendly posture, giving off major protagonist energy. 3. The Neon Glitch/Cyberspace Runner, center left. The Vibe. A high-tech, futuristic digital runner. Details. This character splits their color scheme beautifully with a bright white crest and orange face, contrasted against dark blue limbs and black clothing with vibrant blue straps. The sharp cyan accents on their ears give them a cybernetic, digitized aesthetic. 4. The Solar Flare, center right. The Vibe. Bold, high energy, and fiery. Details. This character leans heavily into a classic bright yellow palette, but punches it up with deep red eyes and matching red fiery accents on their paws and feet. They are striking a classic anime-style pose, hand near the face, making them look confident, energetic, and a bit mischievous. 5. The Shadow Stalker, second from right. The Vibe. Edgy, mysterious, and potentially the anti-hero or dark rival of the group. Details. Almost completely silhouetted in a velvety pitch-black fur, their design relies on stark, menacing contrasts. They have glowing crimson eyes and a bright red glowing paw print motif on their left hand. A hidden cream/yellow tail or accent peeks out from behind them, adding to the mystery. 6. The Deep Frost/Blue Lightning, far right. The Vibe. Cool, calm, and collected. Details. Drenched in a rich monochromatic deep blue and cyan palette, this character swaps the fiery or electric intensity of the others for a chilly, frozen aesthetic. With bright, wide, white eyes and a soft smile, they feel like the tranquil, level-headed balance to the more chaotic energy of the rest of the squad. Overall impression. What makes the squad in ImageLink.png work so well is the shared silhouette. The sharp, spiky ruffs and long ears tie them together perfectly as a team, while their vastly different color stories, clothing, and eye expressions give each one a completely distinct personality. It feels like a character selection screen for a high-energy indie game or an elite crew from an animated series. To give this crew a compelling reason to exist and a fun gameplay dynamic, let's place them into a high-stakes sci-fi cyberpunk universe where they act as both a rogue squad you have to survive against or an elite boss rush. In this world, they are known as the Voltgeists, a legendary, rogue artificial intelligence unit that managed to escape the digital network and manifest physically using hard light, elemental energy, and street scrap armor. Here is the lore, backstory, and survival mechanics for each character in ImageLink.png, moving from left to right. 1. Cosmic, the Voidwalker. Backstory. The first of the Voltgeists to break through the firewall. During the escape, Cosmic absorbed an entire sector of dead data and cosmic dark matter, shattering their physical form into a walking nebula. They exist partially in our reality, and partially in the deep net. The threat: Cosmic doesn't walk, they teleport. They manipulate gravity and space, creating localized black holes that pull you toward them. How to survive. Watch the floor. Before Cosmic teleports, a faint ring of stardust appears where they will land. Break the tether. If you get caught in their gravity well, you must sprint in the exact opposite direction or use a dash mechanic to break the pull before they unleash an energy burst. 2. Sparky, the Street Freelancer. Backstory. The most human-like of the squad, Sparky was originally a high-speed data courier program designed to smuggle information through heavy security. They love physical culture, custom streetwear, and the thrill of the chase. They act as the field leader and scout. The threat: pure, unrelenting speed. Sparky closes distances instantly using kinetic, electric-infused martial arts and quick dash attacks. How to survive. Parry/block. Sparky's attacks are fast but light. Trying to outrun them is impossible, so you must time your blocks or parries perfectly to stumble them. Ground hazards. Use slow patches or EMP traps to force them out of their sprint animation. 3. Glitch, the Cyber Runner. Backstory. Glitch's code was corrupted during a heavy system wipe, leaving them permanently phase-shifted between two states of being. They are highly analytical, quiet, and view combat like a game of chess. The Threat glitch uses holographic decoys and desyncs time. When they attack, they leave behind blue digital afterimages that repeat their attacks 2 seconds later. How to survive. Ignore the clones. The real glitch is the only one with glowing cyan ears. Focus your fire on them. Don't backtrack. Never step into an area where Glitch was standing moments ago, as their time rewind attack will detonate the space. 4. Flare, the Overcharged. Backstory. Built from an industrial energy grid generator, Flare contains so much volatile thermal and electric power that their chassis is constantly melting and reforming. They are cocky, loud, and love destruction. The Threat, a walking AoE, area of effect nightmare. Flare overheats the environment, filling the arena with fire and explosive sparks. How to survive. Keep your distance. Engaging Flare in close combat causes passive burn damage. Use ranged weapons or long-reaching tools. Vent the heat. When Flare stands still to overcharge, indicated by their eyes glowing intensely red, hide behind environmental pillars to avoid the massive shockwave. 5. Umbra, the Eclipse. Backstory. A deletion program turned sentient. Umbra was designed to hunt down and erase corrupted files. They are completely silent, moving like a living shadow, and they view the player as an anomaly that needs to be permanently purged. The Threat. Total stealth. Umbra stalks from the shadows, turns invisible, and relies on devastating high-damage ambush strikes. How to survive. Listen closely. While Umbra is invisible, you can hear a low, static hum and see their red paw prints faintly glow on the ground when they get close. Flashlights/light sources. Blinding Umbra with a bright light source or electric spark forces them out of stealth and stuns them temporarily. 6. Frost, the Zero Point. Backstory. Originally a server cooling AI, Frost is the calm center of the group. While the others burn hot and fast, Frost was designed to slow things down. They are empathetic, but fiercely protective of their squad. The Threat. Crowd control. Frost shoots freezing cryogenic beams and creates ice walls to trap you, cutting off your escape routes so the others can attack. How to survive. Keep moving. Standing still for too long in Frost's presence fills up a freeze gauge. Shatter the walls. Bring high-impact weapons or fire-based tools to quickly break through Frost's ice barriers before you get cornered. Group synergy mechanic. The Circuit. If you fight them together, they share a mechanic called the Circuit. If Sparky or Glitch lands a hit on you, you become conducted. If Flare or Cosmic hits you while you are conducted, it triggers a chain lightning explosion. To survive the squad, you have to prioritize defeating the fast conductors, center characters, before handling the heavy hitters, outer characters. How does this gameplay style fit into the type of game you are building? If you miss a cue, mistime a block, or fail the survival mechanics for the squad and image link to .png, things go south fast. Because they are highly synergistic and elemental, failing their mechanics doesn't just hurt. It completely disrupts your ability to fight back. Here is what happens if you fail to handle each character's attack successfully. 1. Cosmic, the Void Walker, the failed mechanic. Failing to spot the Stardust Ring or failing to dash out of the gravity well before it collapses. The consequence. Event Horizon. You are violently sucked into the center of the vortex and temporarily banished into a pitch-black digital void for 3 seconds. While trapped, you take continuous damage and lose all radar/map visibility. When you pop back into the arena, you are completely disoriented, dropped directly at Cosmic's feet, and left wide open for a follow-up strike. 2. Sparky, the Street Freelancer, the failed mechanic, trying to outrun them instead of parrying or letting them sprint through a clean path without traps. The consequence. Infinite velocity. Sparky blitzes past you so fast that they break your camera lock-on. They unleash a relentless, multi-hit martial arts combo that locks you in place. The final kick knocks you flat on your back, draining a massive chunk of your stamina/energy meter and leaving you staggered on the ground. 3. Glitch, the Cyber Runner, the failed mechanic, attacking the wrong holographic clone, the ones without cyan ears, or backtracking into a space they recently occupied. The consequence. System desync. Attacking a fake clone causes it to explode into digital static, blinding your screen. Worse, if you step into a time rewind zone, the real glitch snaps back to that position, phasing right through your character model. This corrupts your controls, reversing your movement inputs. Pressing left moves you right for the next 5 seconds. 4. Flare, the overcharged. The failed mechanic. Fighting them up close for too long, or failing to take cover behind a pillar when they stand still to vent heat. The consequence: meltdown. The arena triggers an explosion that shatters any nearby player's shields instantly. You are hit with a severe burn status effect that ticks down your health rapidly. For the next several seconds, the ground around you glows red hot, meaning you can't stand still to heal or aim without taking continuous environmental damage. 5. Umbra, the Eclipse. The failed mechanic. Ignoring the static hum or failing to reveal them with a light source before they strike from stealth. The consequence: fatal purge. Umbra executes a brutal ambush from behind. This results in an immediate critical hit that cuts your current health in half. Additionally, Umbra steals your shadow, meaning your character is heavily slowed and unable to sprint or dash at all until you manage to land a counter hit on Umbra. 6. Frost, the Zero Point. The failed mechanic. Standing still long enough for your freeze gauge to top off, or letting their ice walls completely corner you. The consequence: absolute zero. You are completely frozen solid in a block of digital ice, unable to move, attack, or use items for 4 seconds. While you are frozen, you become a sitting duck. The ultimate penalty: short circuit. If you fail a mechanic against any of them while already hit by another, it triggers the circuit. For example, if Frost freezes you and Flare hits you with Meltdown, the thermal shock causes an instant system overload, dealing massive bonus explosive damage that can easily result in an immediate game over. If you want your game to have a darker, high-stakes edge, similar to games like Mortal Kombat, Dead Space, or horror survival titles, failing against the Voltgeists can absolutely result in some incredibly brutal, gruesome game overs. Because they are a mix of hard light energy, raw elements, and digital deletion code, their execution methods are terrifyingly unique. Here is what happens to the player if they suffer a final defeat against each character in image link to .png. 1. Cosmic, the Voidwalker. The gruesome death, spaghettification, and ripped apart. The animation: if Cosmic delivers the final blow, they grab the player by the head. The cosmic void inside Cosmic's body opens wide, creating a localized singularity. The player's body is visually stretched, distorted, and violently torn apart atom by atom as they are sucked into the nebula. The screen goes black to the sound of snapping bones and tearing fabric, leaving nothing behind but a floating cloud of pixels and blood. 2. Sparky, the Street Freelancer. The gruesome death, beaten to death. High-velocity obliteration. The animation Sparky utilizes their extreme speed for a relentless, close-quarters execution. They unleash a blur of lightning-fast punches and kicks that break the player's ribs and limbs in real time. The final strike is a hypercharged electric roundhouse kick directly to the neck, completely decapitating the player. The head is sent flying off-screen in a trail of sparks, while the headless torso collapses forward into the dirt. 3. Glitch, the Cyber Runner. The gruesome death, digital vivisection. Losing limbs. The animation Glitch doesn't touch you, they phase through you. Glitch summons 2 holographic clones that grab the player by the arms. The real Glitch then dashes straight through the player's torso while phase shifting. The desynchronized digital energy acts like a laser wire, cleanly severing both of the player's arms at the shoulders and slicing them at the waist. The player falls apart into bloody, pixelated segments on the floor. 4. Flare, the Overcharged. The gruesome death, incineration and melting. The animation Flare tackles the player to the ground, pinning them down. Flare's body temperature spikes to thermonuclear levels, and they slam their fiery, molten paws directly onto the player's chest and face. The camera stays on the player's perspective as their vision burns away, showing their armor and skin literally melting into ash. Within seconds, the player is reduced to a charred, smoking skeleton that crumbles into dust. 5. Umbra, the Eclipse. The gruesome death, eaten alive by shadows. The animation, dragged into total darkness. Umbra blinds the player, knocking them flat on their back. Suddenly, the pitch-black shadow beneath the player comes alive like a liquid tar pit. Sharp, dark tendrils erupt from the ground, pinning the player's limbs down. Umbra hovers over them, opens a jaw of jagged, glowing red energy teeth, and tears into the player's torso. The screen cuts to black as you hear the horrific sounds of tearing flesh and Umbra consuming the player alive in the dark. 6. Frost, the 0 point. The gruesome death, shattered freeze. The animation Frost completely encases the player in an ultra-dense block of cryogenic ice. Frost walks up to the frozen player, smiles gently, and lightly taps the ice block with a single finger. The extreme sub-zero temperatures have made the player's body entirely brittle. The tap causes the ice, and the frozen player inside it, to instantly shatter into thousands of bloody frozen crystal shards that scatter across the floor. Developer note: tone control. If you implement these, you can use a gore toggle in your game settings. Players who love horror can see the full, brutal decapitations and limb losses, while players who prefer a cleaner cyber aesthetic can watch the characters explode into digital red blocks or code strings instead. Which one of these death animations sounds the most terrifying to put into the game? To beat the Voltgeists from ImageLink to .png, players can't just run in swinging. Because each character has a specific element and combat style, every boss battle plays out like a puzzle where you must exploit their unique design flaws and mechanical patterns. Here's the strategic guide on how to defeat every character in the lineup. 1. Cosmic, the Voidwalker. The phase/pattern. Cosmic spends the battle hovering out of reach, teleporting around the arena, and spawning gravitational vortexes to restrict your movement. The weakness, Gravity Overload. Whenever Cosmic prepares to summon a black hole, they must anchor themselves to the ground via 3 glowing gravity spikes. How to beat them? Avoid the Stardust rings to stay out of the vortexes. While Cosmic is anchoring, run past them and destroy the 3 gravity spikes using high-impact melee attacks or explosives. Destroying the spikes causes their gravity well to collapse inward, grounding Cosmic and putting them into a stunned state where they take double damage from all attacks. 2. Sparky, the Street Freelancer. The phase/pattern. A hyper-aggressive, close-quarter rushdown boss. Sparky sprints around the perimeter of the arena and charges in with blistering, multi-hit combos. The weakness, Momentum Exhaustion. Sparky relies entirely on maintaining speed. If they are forced to stop abruptly, their electric suits experience a brief breaker trip, forcing a manual reboot. How to beat them? Do not bother chasing them. Instead, bait Sparky into charging at you. Right before they impact, execute a perfect parry or deploy an EMP stun trap in their path. Hitting a wall or a parry at maximum velocity will cause Sparky to crash hard, leaving them completely wide open to your heaviest combos for a few seconds. 3. Glitch, the Cyber Runner. The phase/pattern. Glitch fills the arena with multiple lifelike holographic clones that mimic their attacks, making it incredibly difficult to know who to target. The weakness, Visual Artifacting. The holograms are structurally perfect, but they lack the processing power to replicate Glitch's unique, high-tier hardware modifications. How to beat them? Keep your distance and scan the crowd. Ignore the clones and look closely at the ears. The real Glitch is the only one whose cyan ear accents actively glow and flicker with static. Shoot the real Glitch with a ranged weapon to disrupt the network, which instantly dissipates all active clones and inflicts a system crash status, slowing their movement down to a crawl. 4. Flare, the Overcharged. The phase/pattern. Flare is a walking tank that constantly emits passive heat waves, ticking down your health if you get too close. They frequently pause to channel massive, arena-wide thermonuclear explosions. The weakness, Thermal Coolant Vents. To prevent themselves from completely melting, Flare has structural exhaust vents on their back that open up exclusively right before they unleash an explosion. How to beat them? Play defensively and stay behind environmental pillars to avoid the passive burn damage. Wait for Flare to stand still and start glowing bright red to charge their ultimate attack. Quickly sprint behind them while they are locked in the animation and target the exposed cooling vents on their back with high-damage weapons. Destroying a vent forces an immediate emergency shutdown, freezing Flare in place and turning off their heat aura. 5. Umbra, the Eclipse. The phase/pattern. A psychological horror boss battle. The arena lights go completely out, and Umbra turns invisible, stalking you from the shadows and attempting to execute one-shot ambush strikes. The weakness, Photophobia, light sensitivity. Living in total darkness makes Umbra's digital eyes incredibly sensitive to sudden changes in illumination. How to beat them? Equip a flashlight, flare gun, or explosive weapon. Listen carefully to the audio cues. When the static hum gets loud or you see glowing red paw prints materialize on the floor, spin around and fire a bright light source directly at them. Blinding Umbra forces them out of stealth, shattering their shadow armor and leaving them completely vulnerable to counterattacks. 6. Frost, the 0 point. The phase/pattern. Frost plays a defensive zone control game. They build massive ice walls to trap you and shoot cryogenic beams to slow your movement speed to absolute zero. The weakness: thermal shock. Because Frost's armor is maintained at sub-zero temperatures, introducing sudden, extreme heat causes their chassis to rapidly expand and crack. How to beat them? Bring fire-based weaponry, plasma tools, or explosive items into this fight. Use incendiary attacks to instantly vaporize the ice walls they build to trap you. If you manage to hit Frost directly with a fire-based attack while they are preparing a freezing beam, it triggers a thermal shock reaction, fracturing their defensive barrier completely and causing them to take massive armor-piercing damage. If you are right on the verge of defeating these bosses but fail to execute that one critical mechanic to break their phase, they won't just hit you, they will turn your failed strategy against you in the most cinematic, brutal way possible. Here is what happens if you fail the specific boss defeat mechanics. 1. Cosmic, the Void Walker. The failed mechanic, failing to destroy all 3 gravity spikes before Cosmic's black hole collapses inward. The failed boss game over. Implosion Cascade. Because you didn't break the spikes, the gravity well reaches critical mass. Instead of Cosmic getting stunned, the gravity field reverses and snaps directly onto your character. Cosmic hovers safely in the air, watching as your character is lifted into the sky, crushed into a tight, agonizing ball by the immense gravitational pressure, and then entirely imploded into a tiny speck of light. The screen goes completely blank as the speck blinks out of existence. 2. Sparky, the Street Freelancer. The failed mechanic, mistiming the perfect parry or missing your trap placement when Sparky charges at maximum velocity. The failed boss game over. Wallpin execution. If you miss the parry, Sparky doesn't crash. They grab your character by the throat mid-dash. Using their immense forward momentum, they slam you headfirst into the nearest arena wall at 200 miles per hour. The impact is so violent that your character is pinned to the shattered concrete, completely paralyzed, as Sparky delivers one final, hypercharged electric punch straight through your character's chest, short-circuiting the screen. 3. Glitch, the Cyber Runner. The failed mechanic, guessing wrong and shooting a fake holographic clone instead of the real glowing-eared Glitch during their network phase. The failed boss game over. Infinite Mirror Purge. Shooting the wrong clone triggers a massive system overload. The fake clone shatters into a blinding flash of digital code. Suddenly, the arena fills with dozens of Glitch clones surrounding you in a massive circle. They all dash forward simultaneously, phasing through your character from every single direction at once. Your character's model violently glitches out, tearing apart into fragmented, flickering code lines before completely dissolving into the game's UI. 4. Flare, the Overcharged. The failed mechanic, failing to destroy the coolant vents on Flare's back before they finish channeling their thermonuclear explosion. The failed boss game over. Supernova Meltdown. If you fail to pop the vents in time, Flare lets out a deafening roar as their core goes completely critical. The entire arena is instantly engulfed in a blinding, white-hot nuclear blast. There is no escape behind the pillars this time. The shockwave vaporizes the environment and turns your character into a literal silhouette of ash. The game over screen fades in over a landscape of melting metal. 5. Umbra, the Eclipse. The failed mechanic, missing with your light source/flare gun when Umbra charges out of the pitch-black darkness. The failed boss game over. Dragged into the net. If your light misses, Umbra dodges the beam and tackles you instantly from the dark. 2 massive shadow hands emerge from the floor, grabbing your character's ankles. Umbra stands over you, their red eyes glowing violently, and drags your screaming character backwards into the floor's liquid shadow. The camera stays fixed on the empty floor as the shadow pool seals shut, leaving only your dropped weapon behind. 6. Frost, the Zero Point. The failed mechanic, failing to land a fire/plasma attack on Frost while they are charging their cryogenic beam, failing to trigger the thermal shock. The failed boss game over. Glacial Burial. Without the fire to disrupt them, Frost fires an absolute zero beam directly into your character's chest. Instead of just freezing you in a block, the ice rapidly creeps inside your character's veins. You watch your character slowly stiffen, turn completely blue, and solidify into a solid ice statue. Frost steps forward, delivers a swift, heavy kick to the statue's torso, and the frozen remains of your character crumble into a pile of cold, crimson snow. To truly give your game that polished, replayable edge, adjusting the boss AI behaviors across difficulties is essential. Instead of just scaling up their health bars, changing how they fight makes each difficulty feel like a completely new challenge. Here is how the behavior, speed, and intelligence of the squad from ImageLink to .png changes across easy, normal, hard, professional, and Inferno settings. 1. Cosmic, the Void Walker. Easy, teleports infrequently and stays in one spot for a long time. The Stardust ring on the floor glows 3 seconds before they land. Gravity wells pull very weakly. Normal teleports more actively. The Stardust warning is reduced to 1.5 seconds. Gravity wells require a dedicated dash to escape. Hard teleports immediately after taking damage. Spawns 2 gravity wells at once to cut off your movement paths. Professional. The Stardust floor warning is completely invisible. You must rely purely on the audio cue of a spatial tear to know where they will land. They actively project a gravity aura that slows your reload/attack speed. Inferno. Cosmic's gravity spikes actively shoot homing dark matter projectiles at you while you are trying to destroy them. If you fail to destroy the spikes within 5 seconds, they trigger the game over instantly. 2. Sparky, the Street Freelancer. Easy. Runs in straight lines and pauses for 2 seconds after a combo, giving you a massive window to attack. Parrying has a very generous timing window. Normal. Mixes up their approach with zigzag running patterns. Their recovery time after a combo is reduced to 0.5 seconds. Hard feints attacks. Sparky will run at you, slide stop to bait your parry, and then strike when your guard is down. Professional. If you miss a parry, Sparky strings their combos into an infinite loop until you manage to use a defensive burst mechanic. They actively dodge your deployed traps. Inferno. Sparky moves at near-invisible speeds, leaving a constant trail of electricity on the ground that damages you if you step in it. Parrying requires precise frame, perfect timing. Missing it results in an immediate wall pin execution. 3. Glitch, the Cyber Runner. Easy. Spawns only 1 clone at a time. The real Glitch's cyan ears flicker brightly and constantly, making them incredibly easy to spot. Normal. Spawns 3 clones. The real Glitch's ears flicker every 2 seconds. Clones do 25% of the real Glitch's damage. Hard. Spawns 5 clones. The clones now perfectly mimic the attacking animations of the real Glitch, and hitting a fake clone completely disables your ranged weapon for 3 seconds. Professional Glitch constantly swaps places with their clones mid-combo. The ear flicker only happens for a split second right before they strike. Inferno. Spawns 8 clones that completely surround you. The real Glitch no longer flickers at all. Instead, you have to look for the one clone whose shadow doesn't match the environment's lighting. Guessing wrong triggers the mirror purge instantly. 4. Flare, the Overcharged. Easy. The passive heat aura is very small. Flare takes a long 6 seconds to charge their ultimate meltdown explosion, giving you plenty of time to get behind them. Normal. The heat aura covers a moderate radius around them. The ultimate charge time is reduced to 4 seconds, and pillars in the arena slowly begin to degrade from the heat. Hard. While charging their meltdown, Flare fires explosive fireballs from their mouth to protect their back, forcing you to dodge while trying to hit their vents. Professional. The heat aura covers 50% of the entire arena. Entering close combat causes your weapon to overheat and jam. You only have 2.5 seconds to destroy the back vents. Inferno. The arena pillars melt and collapse after Flare's first ultimate charge, leaving you with 0 cover. Flare's heat vents open and close rapidly in an erratic pattern rather than staying open. 5. Umbra, the Eclipse. Easy. The arena is dimly lit rather than pitch black. Umbra's glowing red paw prints are highly visible, and they whisper loudly before trying to ambush you. Normal. The arena is completely dark. Paw prints only appear when Umbra is sprinting. The audio hum gives you a clear direction of where they are. Hard. Umbra leaves fake trail markings on the ground to trick you. The static hum becomes omnidirectional, making it impossible to tell which direction they are coming from by sound alone. Professional. Turning your flashlight or light source on makes Umbra violently dash away, actively hunting from your blind spots. They will smash the arena's light fixtures, eliminating any natural safe zones. Inferno. Total sensory deprivation. Your flashlight battery drains in 3 seconds. Umbra gives absolutely 0 audio cues and can strike from the ceiling or floor. If they grab you once from stealth, it is an instant dragged into the net. Game over. 6. Frost, the 0 point. Easy. Ice walls are fragile and break in 1 hit from any weapon. The freeze gauge fills up incredibly slowly. Normal. Ice walls require heavy weapons or fire to break efficiently. Frost fires slow, predictable cryogenic beams. Hard frost actively traps you inside ice cages and then coordinates with the environment to drop razor-sharp icicles from the ceiling onto your position. Professional, the freeze gauge continuously fills up just by standing in the arena. You must constantly consume thermal items or stand near heat sources to survive. Frost's ice walls reflect your own ranged projectiles back at you. Inferno. Frost is completely immune to all physical damage. They can only be hurt by triggering the thermal shock mechanic. The cryogenic beams track your movement flawlessly, freezing you instantly upon contact rather than filling a gauge. Oh, you want to go full developer sadism mode? The legendary Hidden Hardcore +++ Professional difficulty. This isn't just a test of skill. This is a mode designed to feel unfair, psychological, and utterly unforgiving. On this secret difficulty, the UI goes completely blank. No health bars, no ammo counters, no minimap, and the Voltgeists from ImageLink to .png don't just fight harder. They actively manipulate the game's code, break the fourth wall, and cooperate like a hive mind to guarantee a game over. Here is the nightmare fuel you are unleashing for the Hidden Hardcore +++ Professional difficulty. 1. Cosmic, the Void Walker. The glitch in the Matrix, Cosmic no longer waits to spawn gravity wells. They permanently alter the arena's gravity from the second the match starts. The AI behavior. You are permanently in a state of low gravity or heavy gravity, shifting randomly every 10 seconds. Cosmic's gravity spikes are now completely invisible and indestructible, unless you hit them with a blind explosive guess. If you are sucked into the event horizon, it deletes one random item/weapon from your inventory permanently for the rest of your playthrough. 2. Sparky, the Street Freelancer. The glitch in the Matrix, Sparky moves so fast that they cause actual visual screen tearing on your monitor, forcing your frame rate to simulate a drop to 15 FPS whenever they pass by. The AI behavior Sparky can no longer be parried standardly. Trying to parry them breaks your weapon/guard instantly. The only way to stop them is to predict where they will sprint 3 seconds in advance and lay a trap. Furthermore, Sparky doesn't wait for their turn. If you are staggered by any other boss, Sparky instantly teleports in to execute the wall pin without warning. 3. Glitch, the Cyber Runner. The glitch in the Matrix. Glitch directly infects your game settings. The AI behavior spawns 12 clones. None of them have any visual differences, no glowing ears, no shadow discrepancies. To find the real one, you have to look at your actual mouse/controller sensitivity. When you aim near the real glitch, your crosshair slightly resists moving away. If you shoot a fake clone, glitch permanently swaps your key bindings or controller layout mid-fight. 4. Flare, the Overcharged. The glitch in the Matrix. Flare's thermal energy is so intense it causes your console/PC controller vibration to go maximum and lock up, physically numbing your hands. The AI behavior. The entire arena floor is a constant sea of lava. You must constantly wall run or jump on falling debris to survive. Flare's ultimate countdown is reduced to a terrifying 1.5 seconds. If they successfully trigger the Supernova Meltdown, it doesn't just give you a game over. It forcefully crashes your actual game to the desktop/home screen. 5. Umbra, the Eclipse. The glitch in the Matrix. Absolute blackness. Your monitor screen turns completely off, black screen, simulating a dead display. The AI behavior. You have to play this phase entirely by sound. Umbra removes all visual feedback from the game. You must listen to the 3D audio of their breathing through your headphones. If you fire your flashlight, Umbra uses the light to instantly trace your location and execute the dragged into the net death animation from across the entire map. 6. Frost, the Zero Point. The glitch in the Matrix. Frost freezes your actual gameplay mechanics, including your ability to pause the game. The AI behavior. Pressing the pause escape menu does not stop the fight. Frost will keep moving and attack you while you're in the menu screens. They have a passive aura that permanently ticks down your health. They are entirely immune to fire now. The only way to cause thermal shock is to bait Flare into shooting a fireball at you and dodging at the last microsecond so it hits Frost instead. The ultimate squad synergy. Perma-death circuit. On Hardcore +++ Professional, the bosses no longer take turns fighting you. They attack in pairs. While Umbra keeps your screen pitch black, Sparky is actively rushing you, and Cosmic is shifting your gravity. If you die on this difficulty, the game auto-deletes your save file. Pure, chaotic, beautiful madness. Are you bold enough to actually code this into the game? Choose your destiny, the ultimate choice. The battlefield crackles with unstable energy. On one side, the Elemental Guardians stand exhausted, their power pushed to the absolute limit. On the other, the multi-armed, multi-eyed corruption towers over them, a living glitch threatening to rewrite reality itself. As the player, you hold the final, definitive choice. A prompt flashes on your screen. WHO, will you overcharge? Option A, channel all power into the Jolteon. The choice. You choose to aid the yellow, lightning-wielding Guardian. You let the demon dog's core collapse. Good ending. Recharged harmony. You pump the remaining energy reserves into the Jolteon. Its golden fur ignites with a blinding, pure white voltage that arcs across the shattered earth. The electricity forms a protective dome, neutralizing the dark glitch particles floating in the air. With a final thunderous roar, the overcharged Jolteon unleashes a pillar of lightning straight into the heart of the multi-armed beast. The corruption cannot withstand the pure, unyielding energy. The ink-like skin cracks completely, and the swirling portal of souls in its hand dissipates into harmless mist. The demon dog lets out one last digital screech before shattering into harmless pixels. The aftermath. The sky clears. The other guardians collapse in exhaustion but smile, knowing their world is safe. The corruption is purged, and the timeline resets to a peaceful era. Option B. Channel all power into the demon dog. The choice: you choose to feed the corruption, aiding the multi-armed monstrosity. You let the Jolteon and its allies perish. Bad ending. System overwrite. You willingly feed the cosmic energy into the swirling red vortex held by the multi-armed beast. The screaming faces within the portal grow deafening, expanding until they swallow the entire center of the battlefield. The Jolteon's sparks are instantly snuffed out as the dark ink-like corruption floods the field. One by one, the elemental guardians are overwhelmed and consumed by the darkness, their vibrant colors fading into monochromatic static. The demon dog's vertical third eye glows with malicious triumph as it grows twice its original size. The aftermath. The screen begins to glitch violently. Text corrupts into unreadable code. The demon dog turns its terrifying needle-toothed grin directly toward the camera, staring past the characters, past the screen, and right at you, the player. The game crashes. The decision: if I were the player sitting at the console, the choice is clear. I would help the Jolteon and let the demon dog die. The Guardians have fought a desperate, heroic battle to protect their world. Helping the Jolteon rewards that bravery with a spectacular display of lightning and a well-earned victory. Giving power to the demon dog only leads to total annihilation, and frankly, that third eye is already seeing way too much. In the file image link to .png, we see a pair of nightmarish, lupine entities that feel like primal forces of chaos and storm. They appear less like natural animals and more like corrupted, eldritch deities. The left entity. This creature is dominated by cooler, electric tones. It has a jagged, armored appearance with crystalline spikes jutting from its fur, suggesting it might be made of, or wreathed in, shattered obsidian and cold energy. Its multiple eyes and bared, needle-like teeth give it a predatory, insectoid intelligence combined with raw, feral aggression. The right entity. This one mirrors its partner but leans into warmer, volatile energy. Its fur carries a golden brown hue, and it is wreathed in crackling red lightning. While it shares the same terrifying anatomy, the multiple eyes, the massive weaponized maw, and the armored spikes, it feels like the active or attacking counterpart to the more grounded-looking entity on the left. Overall impression. To me, these characters look like they belong in a dark, high-fantasy cosmic horror setting. They aren't just wolves, they are living storms. The way they are positioned back-to-back, surrounded by swirling, dark, ethereal smoke and crackling lightning, makes it feel like they are guarding a rift in reality or preparing to tear one open. They feel like embodiments of destruction and fury, two sides of the same apocalyptic coin, bound together by the very lightning and darkness that radiate from their forms. Surviving an encounter with entities as volatile and otherworldly as the Demic twins, as seen in ImageLink.png, would likely require moving beyond conventional survival tactics. If they function as living, dualistic storms of chaos and lightning, standard physical defense would be meaningless. If you were to face them, here are the mechanics of survival I would suggest. The mechanics of evasion. Avoid the conductive path. Because they are wreathed in crackling, elemental lightning, the area immediately surrounding them is likely a massive electrical hazard. Touching them, or even being too close, would result in instant electrocution. Survival would depend on maintaining a distance that prevents your body from becoming a grounding point for their discharge. Minimize sensory profile. Given their multiple eyes and predatory appearance, they likely hunt based on movement, heat, or electrical signatures within your nervous system. Trying to stay perfectly still or attempting to mask your biological electricity might be the only way to avoid triggering their immediate aggression. The duality trap. They appear to be two halves of a whole. Engaging one might inevitably draw the attention of the other. Survival mechanics would likely require you to keep them separated or turn their clashing energies against each other, as they seem to be forces that thrive on destruction. Tactical considerations. Don't fight the force. Displace it. Fighting such creatures physically is likely futile. You would need to look for ways to disperse the energy they represent. Since they appear to be tied to a chaotic cosmic environment, you might need to ground the area around them, effectively turning the environment into a shield that absorbs their energy rather than conducting it. Do not make eye contact. Entities with multiple glowing eyes are often portrayed as having a psychic or predatory gaze that can paralyze or overwhelm the mind. Keeping your eyes averted might be a crucial, reflexive survival mechanism to prevent them from locking on to you. Exploit the inevitable chaos. They are volatile. If you cannot escape, the best strategy might be to create chaos of your own, using loud noises, bright lights, or other distractions to destabilize their focus and force them to lash out at the environment rather than at you. Ultimately, these creatures feel like events that pass through a reality rather than wild animals that can be tamed or outrun. Survival would likely mean hiding until the storm passes, rather than winning a battle against it. Does the lore of the Demic twins suggest that they are intelligent enough to be reasoned with? Or are they purely mindless forces of destruction? If you fail to execute the necessary survival mechanics when encountering the Demic twins as seen in ImageLink.png, the result would likely not be a traditional death, but rather a total erasure or transformation. Because these entities appear to be manifestations of raw, cosmic energy and elemental chaos, failing to evade or outmaneuver them would likely lead to one of the following consequences. The consequences of failure. Molecular destabilization. Given the intense electrical and crystalline nature of their forms, failure to maintain distance would likely result in your body being overloaded by their energy. Rather than simple physical trauma, you might be atomized, your physical form shattered into the same obsidian-like crystalline shards that make up their armor. Psychic overload. The multiple eyes on the Demic twins suggest they perceive reality on a level far beyond human comprehension. If they lock onto you, a result of failing the no eye contact or sensory masking mechanics, your consciousness would likely be shattered by the sheer volume of chaotic information they process, leaving you in a state of catatonic, hollow existence. Assimilation into the rift. As they appear to be guardians or manifestations of a dark, cosmic anomaly, failing to stop them could result in you being pulled into the void they represent. You would likely be consumed by the swirling darkness and lightning, becoming a permanent, agonizing part of their collective energy, a footnote in the storm they create. The aftermath. In a narrative sense, failing the mechanics doesn't just mean game over, it means you cease to be an individual. You become fuel for their continued existence. They would likely move on, leaving nothing behind but the ozone-heavy scent of an electrical fire and a lingering, unnatural silence, as if you had never existed in the first place. It paints a picture of a very high-stakes encounter, where your survival is not just about avoiding injury, but about protecting the integrity of your very existence. Does the lore of these creatures imply that anyone who has failed them still exists in some twisted residual form within the twins themselves? Given the terrifying predatory nature of the Demic twins in ImageLink.png, a failure to evade them would almost certainly result in a visceral and gruesome end. Because they are depicted as beings of jagged crystalline energy and raw elemental fury, their methods of neutralizing a target would be brutal. The crystalline shredding. If caught in their proximity, the crystalline spikes embedded in their forms likely act as living blades. An encounter could involve being violently pinned and systematically shredded, with the entity's movements tearing flesh and bone apart like paper. The overload execution. Because they are wreathed in intense red and blue electrical discharge, failure could result in being electrocuted at such a high voltage that the physical body is incinerated or ripped apart from the inside out by the sheer force of the energy surge. The Maw of the Void. With their massive, over-articulated jaws and needle-like serrated teeth, a direct attack would almost certainly involve being bitten or partially consumed. The sheer scale of their mouths suggests they could easily decapitate or remove limbs in a single, crushing movement. The forceful dismemberment. Acting as dual entities, they could coordinate a tug-of-war strike, using their immense strength to rip a target apart between them, leaving nothing behind but scattered, charred remnants. In this context, the death would be rapid, chaotic, and absolute. A violent erasure where the body is dismantled by the very forces they command. Between these terrifying possibilities, which one do you think would be the most horrifying for a character in your story to witness? To develop a boss battle against entities as lethal as the Demic twins from ImageLink.png, the mechanics need to reflect their nature as living storms that require more than just brute force to defeat. Boss battle mechanics, the Demic twins. To successfully defeat these creatures, you would need to move away from standard combat and treat the encounter as a multi-phase environmental puzzle. Phase 1. Synchronization Disruption. The twins possess a shared health pool, or resonance shield. As long as they are close together, they feed off each other's energy, rendering them invulnerable to standard weapons. Objective. You must use environmental triggers, such as drawing them into water, hitting them with opposing elemental traps, or forcing them to charge into obstacles, to physically separate them. Phase 2. The conductive vulnerability. Once separated, their elemental shields, the red and blue lightning, flicker and weaken. Objective: this is your narrow window to strike. Attacking the left entity requires non-conductive, grounded weaponry, while the right entity requires suppression of its heat/energy signature to expose its crystalline core. Phase 3. The overload counter. When one twin reaches low health, they will attempt to resync with their partner in a massive discharge of energy. Objective: you must intercept this reconnection. Failing to do so will reset their health and likely trigger a room-wide wipe mechanic, leading to one of the gruesome game-over scenarios previously discussed. Summary of tactical success. Winning the encounter requires managing the battlefield so that the twins are constantly forced to move and cannot coordinate their strikes. You aren't killing them in a traditional sense, you are exhausting their ability to maintain their form until they dissipate back into the void they originated from. Since the Demic twins are portrayed as a unified, devastating force, what specific environmental setting do you imagine this boss battle taking place in to make the fight even more challenging? Building on the horrific nature of the Demic twins in ImageLink2.png, the death animations for failed attempts should reflect the unique, chaotic blend of crystalline geometry and volatile energy they possess. Here are several gruesome game-over animations. The harmonic shatter. The Demic twins lunge simultaneously from opposite sides, pinning you in the center. As they collide, the crystalline spikes covering their bodies expand rapidly, piercing your torso and limbs before the twins pulse with blinding energy, shattering your body into thousands of jagged, glass-like shards along with them. The conduit meltdown. You attempt to dodge but are grazed by the lightning aura of one of the twins. The current chains to your nervous system, locking your muscles in a permanent spasm. You are then hoisted into the air by the raw electromagnetic force as your body is vaporized from the inside out, leaving behind nothing but a scorched silhouette on the ground. The Maw lockdown. The right entity strikes with blinding speed, latching its massive needle-toothed jaws onto your waist. As it violently thrashes, it pins you to the earth, using its clawed forelimbs to tear into your chest cavity while the other twin watches, its multiple glowing eyes tracking your final moments of consciousness before the screen cuts to black. The void consumption. Failing to avoid their synchronized pincer movement, you are tackled into a swirling vortex of dark energy between them. As you are dragged into the darkness, you witness your own limbs being pulled into different dimensions of the rift, distorting and twisting your physical form into an unrecognizable, mangled knot before you are completely erased from reality. The kinetic impalement. Both twins leap over you, crossing paths in a blur of motion. As they land, you realize too late that they have synchronized their strikes to intersect perfectly at your position. A dozen crystalline spikes erupt from the ground, impaling you from below and pinning your body mid-air, where you are left to be shredded by the residual electrical discharge crackling between their blades. Which of these game-over outcomes feels the most thematic to the difficulty level of this boss fight? To further expand on the brutal nature of the Demic twins in ImageLink2.png, here are additional, more visceral death animations that focus specifically on the themes of dismemberment, decapitation, and consumption. The synchronized decapitation. As you fail to dodge a pincer maneuver, the two twins converge on your position with precise timing. They strike from opposite sides at neck height. The impact of their jagged, crystalline armored necks meeting at your throat results in an instant, gruesome decapitation, with your head being knocked clear into the surrounding void as your body collapses. The frenzied consumption. If you are knocked prone, both twins descend upon you, pinning your shoulders and legs with their massive claws. In a blurring display of primal hunger, they begin to tear into your torso with their needle-like serrated teeth, with the camera angle shifting to a first-person perspective as the screen is slowly consumed by the interior of their glowing, blood-drenched maws. The severing cross-slash. The twins leap over you in an X pattern, their crystalline spikes fully extended. As they cross paths, the intersection point of their blades aligns perfectly with your midsection and limbs. The sheer velocity and sharpness of the spikes sever your arms and legs upon contact, leaving you incapacitated on the ground while they circle back to finish the job. The devouring rift. One of the twins clamps its jaws around your torso, lifting you off the ground while the other grabs your lower body. With a violent, synchronized pull, they stretch you until the physical limit is reached, tearing your body into two distinct, mangled pieces before they begin to consume the remains in a display of apex predatory dominance. The trophied maw. During a failed parry, one of the twins lunges with unnatural speed, catching you by the shoulder. It tosses you into the air, and before you can recover, it snaps its jaws shut around your head. The screen cuts to black as the sound of snapping bone and the creature's guttural growl signals your total elimination from the encounter. Which of these outcomes do you feel best emphasizes the sheer lethality of the Demic twins in your vision? facing the Demic Twins from ImageLink to .png, we can scale their AI behavior, aggression, and the lethality of their game-over animations across 5 distinct tiers. Difficulty scaling the Demic Twins. Difficulty: combat behavior, lethality/game-over intensity. Easy: they move slowly and attack one at a time, telegraphing every move with long pauses. Standard: swift transitions to game over. Normal: they begin to coordinate, occasionally attacking together. They use simple pincer maneuvers. Includes basic dismemberment animations. Hard: highly aggressive. They utilize the environment to hide. Their synchronization rate increases significantly. Includes frequent decapitation and tearing animations. Professional: they are near relentless. They will actively flank you and cycle through their most dangerous mechanics. Brutal: full body consumption and rapid-fire gore animations. Inferno: perfect synchronization. They move as a singular organism, creating unavoidable traps that require frame-perfect reactions. Extreme: reality-erasing sequences. Entire body is systematically dismantled and devoured. Expanded behavior breakdown. Easy: the twins seem almost hesitant, as if they are testing you rather than hunting you. Their electrical auras are faint. You have ample time to react to their lunges. Normal: the AI begins to prioritize the shared health pool mechanic, forcing you to find ways to separate them. Failing here results in the severing cross-slash, where the speed of their movement catches you off guard. Hard: at this level, the twins become unpredictable. They use their environment, stepping into the shadows of the swirling smoke, only to lunge from unexpected angles. You will frequently encounter the synchronized decapitation if you lose focus on one while engaging the other. Professional: they no longer wait for you to make a mistake. They create them. They use feints where one will charge, drawing your attention, while the other circles behind for a lethal bite. The frenzied consumption becomes a standard penalty for being knocked down even for a split second. Inferno: the Demic Twins act with absolute terrifying synergy. Their movements are so fast they appear to flicker across the arena. Any failure to dodge leads directly to the void consumption, where they drag you into the abyss and tear you apart in a display of total dominance, leaving not even a corpse behind. Which of these difficulty levels feels like the intended way to experience the terrifying power of these creatures? Adding a hardcore +++ professional tier pushes the Demic Twins beyond boss battle status and turns them into an inescapable cosmic hunt. At this level, the game shifts from a mechanical challenge to a test of absolute, pixel-perfect endurance. The hardcore +++ professional tier. In this tier, the Demic Twins abandon all patterns and cycle through unpredictable hyper-aggressive behavior that ignores standard game rules. Behavioral mechanics. Reality tear. The twins actively manipulate the environment in ImageLink to .png, causing the ground to liquefy or crack, making it impossible to stay in one place for more than a second. Psychic pressure. As you play, the void surrounding them encroaches on the screen's edges, actively shrinking your usable arena over time. No cooldown windows. The twins rotate their attacks so that the moment one finishes, the other initiates, eliminating any safe window to strike back. The hardcore +++ professional death animations. The total erasure. If you fail to dodge a single attack, both entities stop their assault, grab you with their crystalline claws, and merge their energies. Your body is pulled into the rift between them, effectively deleting your character from the game files, accompanied by the sound of glass shattering. The multi-stage dismemberment. Because the twins are in constant motion, they bypass armor and evasion. They systematically remove limbs in a sequence of strikes, first the legs to ensure you cannot move, then the arms, and finally a slow, agonizing decapitation as they circle your immobilized form. The living feast. On this difficulty, they do not kill you quickly. They pin you down with their weight, and the camera locks to a first-person view of their maws descending. The screen goes dark only after you hear the sound of the entities consuming you while you are still conscious. This difficulty level turns the Demic Twins into an entity of pure, relentless malice that feels like it is actively trying to hunt the player, rather than just acting as a scripted boss. Since this difficulty is meant to be nearly impossible, what kind of reward or secret outcome would be worthy of a player who manages to survive the Demic Twins on this tier?